Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. Here's how dark the humor has gotten in these days, Olivia. When we had you scheduled for the other day and you couldn't make it, I was like, is she in El Salvador? Is she in a prison?
Yes. Please ask that question every time because it's getting a little
it's always
nerve-wracking.
Yeah, always a possibility.
And I'm like, oh no, they don't take women. Okay, maybe she's in Gitmo.
That's a good point.
Yet.
That'll change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Olivia, I thought of you because I saw, you've obviously been talking about the targeting of Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor. But, I was at the Bulwark, but someone wrote a terrifying piece about how, if you'd asked me last week, should they flee the country, I would have said, oh, no, of course not. This week, I might not say, I might say yes. And I thought of you because I thought for some reason he also seems to be making particular targets of Republicans like all of you guys that worked for him in the Trump administration. So these are not some wild-eyed liberals he's targeting, right? It's people that told the truth in the Trump administration.
Yeah, and look, I think it's obviously strategic, and he's doing it on purpose because it does have the chilling effect. I think, one, it was a message certainly to all of us out here, and it's sort of like, do you stay the course or not? And I think it was a bigger message, too, to people that are currently serving in this administration with him and in government. I think that was also part of the effect of, like, making an example of them. Yep. And saying, pay attention to what I'm doing here. Do not step out of line. I'm in control, and this will happen to you. And I think that was part of it.
Well, this is why I say it every day, and I'm repetitive. Do you think I'm repetitive?
Are you repetitive?
I feel like I repeat things.
I think you're repetitive.
I keep saying, courage is contagious, and so is cowardice. And that's why you are so important, Olivia, and all of the people like Harvard that are not bending the knee. Because, if they can't, if we all resist, nobody bends the knee, he's powerless. He's hoping. Yeah. This is what bullies do: is they hope to intimidate enough people. Like you said, when Trump uses the power of the presidency to target truth tellers like Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor, it's not just retaliation; it's a warning to all of us. I spoke with Joyce Vance about what this moment means, why it's so dangerous, and what it feels like when you could be next. I mean, I do have to ask you, Olivia. All jokes aside, what does that feel like? I mean, you must personally some days feel terrified.
I got a text that day when it was happening from someone, and they said, turn on Fox News. And I was like, ooh, why?
Oh, God.
And so I did, and I saw what was happening. And I have to be honest, I was sitting on the couch, and I was just waiting. I was waiting for my name.
Yeah.
And my husband walked in. He just got home from work, and he looked at me, and he's like, what's going on? And I was pale, and I was watching it develop, and it was chilling. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit, it shook me. But on the other hand, I also sat there and I was like, well, I knew this day would come in some sort of way. And so right now it's not me, but it means that I just have to fight for them. And so I think that's sort of the feeling that I had, and the reaction was just, I have to make sure that the story remains front and center, that we don't give this a pass, that it doesn't kind of just become a blip. I was furious the next day when no reporter in the press conference, during that press conference in the cabinet meeting, no one asked about it, right? I mean, it took a while for the reporters to ask about it. And I know that, they're also scared. And, well, whatever legitimate reporters we have left in the press pool, because this is now state-dominated media joining the press conference for the most part, right? So I say that not really lightly because it's what's happening. But, yeah, and so I think my message to people is, if you think it can happen to you, It can, because they're chipping away at this. And I think, you may not agree with Miles Taylor's politics. You may not agree with Chris Krebs. Chris Krebs was just doing his job. By the way, he was just securing the election. Yeah. And that's what got him in trouble. All he said was that the election was safe and secure, which, by the way, court cases have also said, I mean, this has been litigated over and over and over, but Trump can't let 2020 go.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to be alarmed when we're seeing this, because it has a greater meaning for our freedom of speech and our individual rights. And we're seeing this. We're seeing Trump target law firms. We're seeing him target universities. We're seeing him target outspoken Republican officials who were served in his administration.
Yeah.
And I think, and now we're seeing in this case with this gentleman in El Salvador that I don't know that he's ever going to see his family again. And it pains me to think that, because he deserves legal process.
Yeah.
And this is awful.
And you threaded about this. You said Trump said the homegrowns are next. That's not just a phrase, it's a warning. This is what state-sponsored disappearance looks like. Can I take a moment to say I'm just a little lame-ass white girl that works in my basement, but I will be your Harriet Tubman. I will shelter you. I will take you in and protect you. But this is how scary it's getting. When you talk to Joyce, I thought you said some interesting stuff, Olivia. You said this kind of move doesn't just impact Krebs or Taylor, it impacts their families, potentially their careers, even their friendships, the stress, the potential reputational damage of just being investigated, quote unquote, the financial burden of defending yourself. It's immense. I've lived through lawfare from Trump loyalists. It's exhausting, and it is meant to be. You said, and if this is what he's doing out in the open, we have to ask ourselves, what else is happening behind the scenes? What are they planning? Who's next? That's what many who are potentially future targets of Trump's retribution are wondering. These aren't isolated incidents. It's part of a broader strategy that Trump is enacting. And I have to give you Exhibit A, Tish James, who you can't tell me that the day after she announced she's going to investigate insider trading in this whole tariff thing, that they're like, oh, you're being investigated for mortgage fraud or something, right?
Yeah, and they have the power of every lever in the U.S. government, right? That's the thing. Whichever way they want to go, right? I mean, they're doing it to Harvard right now. We're watching that. They're like, okay, we're going to revoke your IRS, nonprofit, tax exempt status. We're going to do this. Like, they are looking at every possible avenue, and they're saying, okay, well, this is how we'll target that individual. And they're doing it across the board. And I'm concerned because it's going to, we have Tish James. All she's doing is trying to follow the rule of law. That is actually
because she's the only
here,
place that can
right?
do it. Our DOJ or SEC or FBI won't do it. I mean, and by the way, Called Activism posted video. So nothing to see here. Just Steve Bannon 5 months ago openly threatening to go after Letitia James. As you say, none of this is an accident, Olivia. I mean, Richard said Trump and Bondi are weaponizing the DOJ to target Letitia James for exposing their corruption. This is a blatant abuse of power, prosecuting political enemies while ignoring their own crimes. James will stand strong against this authoritarian playbook, but it's a story, not even a day, several stories a day, isn't it, out of the authoritarian playbook?
Yeah, and I think that they're flooding the zone, right? We've been watching them do this since he took office, and it's one thing after another. And I think it's important for us. I mean, yes, is it exhausting? I'm exhausted, right? Every day I'm like, okay, this is another thing that we need to make sure we're tracking. But I think that we've also got to lean on each other, and we've got to make sure that we keep taking a stand against this. Because the second that we stop taking a stand against it, and the second we stop talking about it, which I know people want to tune out, and then they're like, I'm done with the news. I've got friends that are saying I'm not even watching anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore. The second we start doing that, that's what they want.
Exactly.
Because then they're taking control.
By the way, you also pointed out Trump has crossed a critical line by coupling accusations of treason with former executive orders. This isn't just rhetoric anymore. It's state retaliation against critics dressed in the language of national betrayal. The full weight of federal authority is now being deployed against those whose only offense was upholding their oath to the Constitution. This leaves me, I've got to ask you, is your role in the Homeland Security, are you following the story about Doge and data and Russia that Rachel Maddow and CNN and NPR now and others are covering? I mean, whistleblower Daniel Baroulis just exposed something terrifying. Foreign enemies allegedly stole U.S. data. The leak came through Elon Musk's Starlink. Another one, here's the chilling truth. Doge is stealing data. I mean, that's what this is all about. And I'm like, why isn't this a bigger story? Right? I mean, in terms of election security, it makes you go like, was 2024 secure? I mean, go ahead. Your thoughts.
No, it certainly raises a question. I think that's a direct link that shows who's really in charge of everything going on here. And I would say that it's Putin. Yeah. Because he has the most access now, and we've ceded control to him. Yeah. I also want to say that, I'm praying for that whistleblower's safety, and I hope that they're okay.
And weren't Putin and
I know what comes with that.
I'm sorry, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the whistleblower.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, Olivia. No, I was going to say, but I mean, aren't also, Putin and Elon Musk being charged in other countries with interfering in elections? I mean, I think it's the things that Trump has said even since the election that makes, and you add all those Russian bomb threats to the Democratic areas that closed down polling booths. I mean, of course your mind goes, oh my God, could they have gotten into the state tabulation computers and swing states? I mean, I know that. Oh, wait, hang on. We're having Eric Swalwell next week. Yeah. Where is this, Chris?
I don't know.
I can't.
What?
He apparently did a podcast talking about the data from 2020 and 2024. And I'm just wondering if there's other shoes to drop here. I'm just curious your thoughts.
I think, it makes sense to when you start to make all the links and connect the dots. I mean, people are like, okay, well, I'm scared to say it out loud because it sounds a little conspiratorial.
Right.
But I think the lesson here is that, yeah, we may not look back, the election's over, but we certainly have to be paying attention to what's about to happen in the next election.
Yeah.
And in the one after that, because that is where I'm very concerned, because there's no Chris Krebs, by the way, anymore.
Yeah.
Right? There's no Chris Krebs that are serving anymore. There's
you know
no
who I'd
people
love
like
to talk
that with integrity serving.
You know who I'd love to talk to about 2024 is Chris Krebs.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he wasn't in charge, but I'd just really be curious. I just love the last thing you said to Joyce here. You said, it echoes what you just told me earlier, Olivia. You said, if we shrink back now, there may soon be nothing left to protect. These executive orders aren't political theater. They're retribution. Trump promised. He meant every word. Today it's Krebs and Taylor. Tomorrow it could be you, me, or anyone who dares to criticize him. This calculated intimidation strategy aims to break our will. They want to make examples of truth tellers so the rest of us fall in line. We can't let that work. If we normalize this, we lose more than our rights. We lose the courage to defend them, and I, for one, will not be silenced. I will be here advocating for them and others. This is why you are a hero of democracy.
Hero of democracy.
But it's, I mean, all of our voices matter now, Olivia. You're absolutely right. And, I'm just, we were saying about, they're trying to make it about this one guy now, Garcia. It's like, we should all be saying, shut this whole thing down. This whole thing's illegal and unconstitutional. That you can't disappear people. I mean, 90% Bloomberg reports of those people had no criminal records at all. I mean, if one person loses due process, we all can, right?
That's exactly it. And I think it's horrifying to basically, we're shipping people off to black sites. That's the equivalent, right? We have no idea what's going on in that prison. There's no oversight. There's no international accords on this prison. I mean, they're cited for human rights abuses. They treat people inhumanely. It's horrifying. And now we have Trump saying that homegrowns are going to be sent there, like American citizens. You have Sebastian Gorka recently. I just saw a clip of him saying that that's the plan. And I said, yeah, that's coming. That's been my worry all along. And I think, going back to the treason term, though, that is a very serious accusation. And I have been gravely concerned that that was going to be their route, that this is people betraying the country. And I think that thread permeates through other things that we're seeing, right? Sebastian Gorka said, if you were advocating for this man in El Salvador, then you're next, right? I mean, that's really what they're saying here. And so I think that is why I say that this is a calculated strategy of silencing dissenters and control. Yeah.
And thank God Sebastian Gorka otherwise is not really creepy. Until
he's in charge of the counterterrorism division that coordinates policy.
Until he said that.
Remind people that these are the people in charge.
Yep.
I know.
God.
Yeah.
I know. I would have had to work with this guy.
But you're right.
I had Cash Patel.
If we don't have due process, Olivia, one day he can say someone's an M13, gang member and terrorist, and oh, by the way, Miles Taylor and Olivia Troy are traitors. And so, just because Donald Trump says you are, sorry, disappeared, no due process. I mean, and we were saying, be very clear. I keep saying this. My dad was an assistant prosecutor at Nuremberg. This isn't a prison. It's a concentration camp. Nobody there has even been charged with anything, let alone gotten due process.
And we don't know if they're alive or dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no welfare checks. We have no idea. And I think, I'm very concerned because, I mean, with the Department of Justice and the leadership that we have there, it's really hard not to worry about the fact that, what's to stop them from making stuff up? Mm-hmm. That is what keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
Now, just one last tweet of yours. I have
to
ask you about, because the thing you could threaten me and make me bend the knee for is if you threaten to send me on a cruise. I would. First of all, I get boat sick.
Oh, me
can't
too.
Stand. Okay, but you said, are you kidding me? Think twice before you take that cruise. I worked the COVID cruise evacuations. They scarred me for life, and now they've gutted the CDC unit that inspects cruise ships for norovirus, E. coli, and other outbreaks. This is how preventable disasters happen again.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Right.
I can't tell you the anxiety I got when I read that article. And I say this very honestly because for a very long time during 2020, first of all, I have to tell you, there's a whole group of us that cheered when the last cruise ship docked and we got the people off of it, because I had a spreadsheet full of cruises, full of people floating around like petri dishes, all over the world that we were trying to figure out how we were going to save lives, starting from the very first one. And every day I get the question of, when is that cruise ship going to dock? And so every day that they were on those cruises was another day that we worried that somebody else was going to die on it. And so now we've gutted the unit that actually does these inspections. And not only that, the stupidity of all of it is that the cruise people, the companies, pay the majority of these services, right? It's not really, so they're cutting for efficiency, but it's not the U.S. government that's actually funding most of it.
Yeah.
The cruise lines actually contribute to it. They're the ones paying for the service. And I can tell you that this is a really serious thing, because I had conversations with the CEOs of these cruise lines who would call me and say, hey, I need help identifying a new inspector, because if the government is overwhelmed and they can't do it, I need to hire, but I don't even know where to start. And so that was the first thing that I thought of. So now we've got this CDC unit, and I'm thinking about the cruise lines that are sitting there going, okay, so we're back to square one. We already have these problems. And I mean, if you're a cruiser and you like going on cruises,
oh my God,
more power to you. Okay. But the thought of it is frightening to me.
Time. And by the way, I can't believe that sociopath. Remember, was like, don't take him up the cruise ships. I don't want my numbers to go up.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I know.
Anyone voted for the sociopath again who only cared about the number? Oh my God. Anyway, Olivia, we love you. The offer's good.
Yes.
You know what? I have a panic room too. It's behind a bookcase. Oops. Now I said where it is.
Oh God.
I have an attic.
You're not supposed
bookcase.
to say that,
Okay.
Steph.
All right. Oops. In America, personal religious beliefs should be just that, personal. But today, Christian nationalism is on the rise, threatening separation of church and state. Laws are being passed based on religious doctrine instead of reason, eroding our rights and freedoms in legislatures, public schools, even in courtrooms. One set of religious beliefs is being forced onto everyone else, but that's not what our founders intended. The Freedom from Religion Foundation is fighting back as the nation's leading group of free thinkers working to keep religion out of government. FFRF protects your right to think for yourself, whether you've always been secular, left religion behind, or simply believe in true religious freedom for everyone. If we don't stand up now, we may lose our religious freedoms. Join FFRF in defending our secular constitution and keeping faith a personal choice, not a government mandate. Visit ffrf.us/freedom to learn more, become a member, or text my last name Miller to 511-511, because in a truly free country, no one's faith should dictate everyone's future. Text Miller to 511-511 today.